Howdy, my name is Head Grandmaster Chuck of Mong Sonam Thai, which I will refer to from now on as MSDT. All right, so on our last self-defense Saturday, we hit over some of the physical basics, some of the physical terminology on it, which is one of them was about why fights occur. So this time, I want to look at what is predatorial people, environmental awareness relative to situational awareness. Okay, now, so one, when you deal with predatorial people, as a general rule, a predatorial person views other people as meat, food, and prey. A way that they can either take advantage of them, make them feel scared, or something like this as a general rule. Now, predatorial people you will run across like at Lowe's when you're looking around and you turn and you look somebody and they didn't feel right to you. They might be looking at you a certain way. These are predatorial type people. As you can generally tell, you guys make direct eye contact with each other. Usually you'll nod your head at each other for acknowledgement. I see you, you see me. These are actually good things because then everybody is kind of aware of what is going on. Now, when you deal with predatorial people and if they attack you, as a general rule, predatorial people, when they do attack, they are past their feelings. It's hard to reach them because they've already justified what it is that they're doing in their mind is why that they are attacking you, because you're either of meat, food, or prey. They feel like they have a right to do what they do. So when you deal with predatorial people, just to begin with, and not your bluffers, but the ones that are very, very predatorial, they're usually very aggressive. They can be intimidators. When you deal with those people, you have to be willing and committed to hurting them just to get them to stop. Now, once they see you're that serious, either you're now going to be in a fight or they will disengage with you almost immediately. Okay, now, when you deal with environmental awareness, let's see here. Okay, so now, to be environmentally aware does not mean you are paranoid, that you're always looking to wait to see for the next thing that's coming on along. No. Environmental awareness is like, for instance, if you're in a store, a restaurant, a quick stop, something of this nature, a convenience store, and you're outside, or you're inside and you're about to step outside. As a general rule, when you've conducted your business and you turn and you start to go outside, you'll look to your left on the side of the door, look to your right on the side of the door, or vice versa. And you look to see when you go out that you don't collide into somebody, you don't run into somebody, somebody doesn't run into you. You make sure that the environment is good, and then you proceed to open the door and then you head on out. Now, situational awareness. This is a couple of different things, such as, let's say, continuing that story a little bit farther. Okay, now you walked across the parking lot or you went to the end of the road and you're getting ready to cross the road. On the left side, you notice that, man, you only got visibility up to about 100 feet. On the right side, you got visibility all the way down. Okay, so you go, all right, I'm going to look. Okay, and so when you do, then you just walk across the street. You get about halfway there, and next thing you know, you look to your left, and there's somebody coming on around 60, 70 miles an hour. Almost as they're coming on around. You are now, even though you're environmentally aware, you are now in a situation. This requires now action to be done. Environmental awareness doesn't always mean that an action needs to be done. It's just simply be aware of it. Now, let's say you're getting coffee somewhere, and when you go and you turn and you look, you see there's these people doing some horseplay with each other, being loud, kind of obnoxious, and doing things that doesn't make everybody feel welcomed. At that particular time, you can look at that and go, you know, I think there's a potential situation there. Is there another place I can check out? Yeah, over here. That right there is using environmental awareness along with situational awareness, that you are aware that there could be trouble. Now, or you find a way to connect with the clerk so you can bypass the people. Now, if you decide you're going to walk through them because there is no other way to deal with it, I personally, just as an experience, I found it's easier to be a little bit more verbal or vocal at this time. Coming on through, guys, are you in line? So ask a question to make them have to answer. Yeah, we're in line. Oh, okay. and then you just accept the answer and there you are, because then there's going to be an awkwardness there. Now, if all of a sudden they get back in line and everything is fine, everything is fine. But at that moment, even the clerk is aware. Everybody is now aware, and that's why when dealing with them, you got to be verbal, let it out in the open. So then if they attack you, even according to the law, they can see that you were defending yourself clearly. All right, so let's see here. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. Hurting, yep. Okay, now, when we're doing this self-defense Saturday, if you're wanting a little bit more in-depth knowledge on these particular subjects, I'm hitting a very light topical knowledge that's a well-rounded about these subjects. There is a lot more in-depth knowledge that goes with this. If you want to know them, find your nearest MSDT place. We have several locations, and I would say go to them, take a free lesson, see if this is something that you want to do, because not only that, but every one of our karate studios also have the right and the ability to customize a self-defense course that best suits you as well. So if you want to know a little bit further on this, I would say go to your nearest Mang Sram Thai place and start setting up a self-defense course. After you do one or two of them, other courses become available to you. And of course, studying karate itself. So now I'm going to head on over to where we're going to do the physical part. Okay, so now we're going to get a little bit into the physical part. We are still down here in the Joplin Main Street area where you have 9th degree Dustin Masters, who is also Master, which is a title thing of rank, and then a Sigung, which means he is a teacher of teachers. Same thing with our other locations. We also have that as well. Later we'll be explaining terminology a little bit more. But what Dustin's going to hit over today is the little bit of basics that we hit last time of the blocking and some punches. He's going to add an open hand strikes to them. To understand, open-handed strikes are your first sign of a skilled fighter. When you see closed-handed striking, where they're boxing, doing all sort of stuff, this is also known as a skilled fighter or a proficient fighter. Wrestlers, where they're always coming in like so. These are also skilled fighters or proficient fighters as well. So it's the same thing when we're doing our open-handed moves. We're considering in the eyes of everyone else that we're a little bit more skilled fighting. So we'll be upgrading that. Plus, on top of that, Dustin is going to also include some kicking. Our standard kicking that happens, as well as what we're going to call is a safety technique, which means it's to be applied a lot of places. All right, so here is Dustin, and he's now going to take over on this part and kind of re-explain everything and then add to our self-defense Saturday. All right.
All right, so just to touch back over what we did last time, we started off in our exercise stance, which was a square horse, with our blocks. So we had our upward block at an angle, so things bounce off of our arm. We had our inward block. We had our two versions of the outward block, which was here, and then we had the extended version for more of a wider power type punch. And then we had our downward blocks here, and then we also had the stepping back, like clearing a kick out of the way. Okay, now we also did 3 punches. First one was a ram's head, and remember we're hitting with our 2 big knuckles right here. Those are the solid ones, here and here. Our side fist punch was here and here. Our reverse punch was here and here, which could also be converted to a uppercut. And if we take that same motion, we can apply that as a hook coming around this way like that. Okay, so now let's talk about our open-handed strikes. The first one will be a palm heel, which is going to be here, thumb back out of the way, fingers up like this. We're hitting with literally this part right here. Like here. It can be straight ahead, it could be up, it could be down. We also have, we could even be across. We'd also have our eye shots and eye thrusts. Now the difference between an eye shot and an eye thrust. An eye shot is a quick popping. An eye thrust is thrusting in. You would then have your like mid-knuckle strikes, which is where your hand is open. Something like a leopard's paw or something to this effect. Typically, you're using them in softer tissue areas. Neck area, into the midsection area like that, kidneys, underarms, things like that. Now, since we're talking about open-handed, we can take the open-handed idea and apply it to our blocks as well. Our inward blocks can also be with the palms of our hands. They can also be a parry. We can be doing outward chopping style blocks like this. We can do it here. You just have to be careful what you're hitting so that you're not smashing your fingers against someone's shin bone. All right, so now let's try some kicking. First kick we're going to do is a snap kick. Now, depending on which foot we have our weight on will determine which foot we're going to use, but we want to be able to throw this kick basically anywhere from 90 degrees over to in front of us, ideally with either foot. What we're going to do is curl our toes back so that we're hitting with the ball of our foot right here. So, a nice simple one to the front, if we're standing on our left foot, would be here. We want to bring our hands up just in case something goes wrong. We want something up. So, just like this. Let me turn from the side so you can see it this way also. So notice I bring the knee up first, just like this. Now, we want to practice throwing this kick straight ahead, off at an angle, off sideways, and being able to pivot our foot if we need to, and kicking across like that. And we want to be able to do that equally on any side we happen to be on, just like that. All right, so now let's try a rear kick. Obviously, it's going to go toward the rear. I'm going to stand this way so you can see me a little easier. Now, what we're going to do is lift our foot straight back. Instead of the knee coming up and out, we're going to lift our foot and then drive it backwards with our toes facing down, hitting with the bottom of our heel this time, right here. Our hands sit like we did with the snap kick where we brought them up. We're going to have one hand here, and typically the side that we're kicking with, we're going to put that over our kidney just to help protect it from a punch, accidental hit, anything to that effect. So we're going to go here, just like that. Now, similarly, we want this to be able to go straight back at a slight angle, and you really want to even be able to shift it off sideways, still throwing it in the same way. And same idea, you also want to be able to do that with either foot. Just like that. Okay, now let's put those two together and we'll have a combination. A snap and rear combination is what we would call it. From the side, we would go here, here. If you notice, the hand that I really move is the same side as the side I'm kicking with. Here, here. Or just like that. Okay? Practice that. Practice that on both sides. Practice throwing them at slightly different angles from each other. If you can do that more than one time before you put your foot down, that's even better.
Okay, so now we're going to deal with what we call as a safety technique. A safety technique is when you're dealing with somebody and you're not sure what they're going to do, but you're pretty sure they're going to attack in a certain type of quadrant area. Like let's say you're dealing with somebody in front of you and you're afraid they're going to throw a punch, a grab, a push, a shove of some nature. Okay, because it's in this upper type of quadrant area. Okay, whether they come in with an elbow, whatever, it's basically an attack coming in this way. It could be linear, something of this effect, meaning coming directly in. It can be hooking, stuff like this. So a basic safety technique would be, if they're coming after me, I can just swipe or smear anything that's out of the way. This one's just covering. And then I come back around with a palm down strike, like a hammer fist, a back fist, anything of whatever I feel, because a lot of times when you're under these desperate measures, you don't always know what's going to come out. Most of the time, if our hands are closed, our hands stay closed. Okay, because people will do things based off of hands being closed. If your hands are open, they'll do things according to that. Very seldom do people do open and closed. It's okay to do that, but that usually requires more thinking while you do it, okay? So we're going to show a couple different applications using the same type of concept. All right. Okay, so first what we're going to deal with is if I attack him with my hands. The next one will be like if I attack him with my foot, he can still do the same type of motion. Okay, so we're going to hit a couple of different scenarios that can happen. The first one I'm going to do is I'm going to step in and I'm going to throw a punch at him. Okay, so I come in here. As I do, he wipes and smears anything that comes along the way. Okay, now that's whether I'm doing the same thing where he's still stepping back again, but let's say and the reason for stepping back, it buys you more time. That's one of the reasons why we favor that a little bit more versus stepping in. Stepping in seems very aggressive when stepping back is a little bit more non-aggressive in the eyes of the law. Okay, so the reason why we do a lot of stepping back. Okay, but now I'm going to do the same thing, only this time I'm looking to push or shove him. Okay, so same idea as I'm here, and then there we are, and he can, now remember in the technique, doing the same thing just now in the air, let it unleash a little. See, then you can do a power hit. Okay, now, doing the same type idea, this time I'm going to take and do what I call like a front kick or a thrust kick to his face, abdomen area, because sometimes people want to knock you on your butt. So as a general rule, when they go to do that, you're looking at the same thing. Just remember, he'll be coming forward a little bit faster. So as he's coming in, doing his thing, and then you smear. All right, so that's where you run across your stepping downward blocks as you do it. But if you got somebody who's coming in a linear fashion from the chest area, now you have to do something to get away from it, and it's still a stepping block. But that's where we're now combining our blocks and our strikes. All right, so that is for today on Self-Defense Saturday. So we will see you again next Saturday, and try to have a good one.